Hi everybody. Today I want to talk about automation because being a professor or other kind of knowledge worker requires that we do a lot of things in a lot of areas, and it's not unusual for people to feel really overwhelmed and like they cannot possibly do everything required of us. And that's because, in my opinion, we shouldn't be trying to do everything required of us by hand manually, right? The way to get ahead, the way to stay on top of our work, the way to feel like you're not overwhelmed is by learning how to automate tasks and by thinking with that automation mindset so you can see, hey, this is taking me a long time. I need to figure out something else to do to speed that up. So with that said, let's dive into talking about the 5 ways that I think that we can automate things to make our lives easier, smoother, and to save time. For those new to the channel, I'm Crystal Littlejohn. I'm an author, speaker, and professor, and super productivity and life balance nerd. So the first thing that we should be automating is meeting requests, right? In this day and age, there is no reason why we should be taking meeting requests by going back and forth with emails over and over again. Does this time work for you? No, that time doesn't work for me. How about this time? No, that time. Okay, we got it. Now here's the link to my Zoom meeting, right? It's just going back and forth and it ends up wasting a lot of time and can just make meeting scheduling feel awful. So there's actually 2 things that you can automate here, right? Number 1 is the template that you use to go ahead and schedule. So when somebody says, hey, can you meet with me? You shouldn't be typing out, yes, happy to meet, or no, that won't work, over and over and over again. Make it say whatever you typically say to people emailing you. Number 2 is that you then have the link to your appointment scheduler set up. I use Calendly. Lots of people use other options. You can book me, you can use a link to your Google Calendar where they can actually just sign up for appointment slots, right? There's so many things out there. There are free options that will allow you to make it where people can directly book with you and you can set aside the times that you want them to be able to book so you don't end up with meetings at times that you don't want. So this is actually a 2-step automation. Number 1, you have the template. Number 2, you have the link. Then you go ahead and create an email that always say, hey, happy to meet. Here's my Calendly link. Go ahead and sign up for a time. I'm looking forward to seeing you. And the wonderful thing about things like Calendly is that it takes off so many steps of the process. So when somebody signs up with my Calendly link, I send them my Calendly link, they sign up for a time, then it automates everything after that. It sends them the Zoom link for our Zoom meeting. It sends them a reminder to let them know that we're gonna be meeting. It sends them the calendar invitation so they can accept it and put it on their calendar, right? So there's so many steps that are taken out of that process, right? That I don't then have to be responsible for making sure that people remember our meeting and that they actually show up. Number 2, and this one will probably be really surprising for people, is you can automate recommendation letters. Okay, and I think one of the things that happens is that automation gets a bad rap because people imagine that to automate things means that you have to half-ass things or that you're not putting a lot of quality time into things. And the way that I see automation is taking my really hard work and making it count, right? So I can spend hours working on a recommendation letter for students and then say that student's gonna apply to 10 graduate schools this year. It wouldn't actually be feasible for me to go in and tailor that letter for every single school, nor would it make the most sense to do that. But with automation, you can then send really high quality letters to each of these schools that is personally addressed to the department that says they are applying to this particular school for this particular position, right? All that requires is an automation mindset so that you can figure out what are the portions of this letter that I need to change so that I can swap it out for these different schools. And then once you do that, I use mail merge right there. The one thing I want to be clear about with automation is I think that sometimes people think that to learn how to automate and to be able to automate, that you have to be the most tech savvy person. Mail merge does require more than just opening up a Word document and typing in your text, but it doesn't require as much as people imagine that it does. Okay, so I use mail merge, and what I'll do is say, I want to change the name of the school, I want to change the date, I want to change the address of the schools, I want to change what the person might be applying for, right? I sometimes use this for fellowship letters, right? All of those things can be automated, and then all I do is just change that in my Google spreadsheet. I'll change out the name. There's different rows for everything, and I'll change out the name of the application. I'll change the date of the letter. I'll change the department that I'm sending it to, right? All of those things are automated. And then what it means is that I don't have to go into this Word document and change that information every single time, right? Not only is it really time consuming, it's also actually really error prone, right? Imagine I regularly have students applying to 10 to 15 graduate school programs at a time, and then I have multiple students applying all within the same 3-week period. It would be really, really, really infeasible for me to go in and do this every single time for every single student. And you don't want to have that embarrassing moment where you go ahead and submit a recommendation letter and then realize, oh, I put the wrong school, right? So when you automate, it allows you to take the time away from the busy work that will keep you in the trenches with your recommendation letters and other stuff, and also make sure that you can send really high quality letters to as many places as the student needs us to. The other thing that I'll add is kind of a bonus tip with automation is that you can also automate gathering that information, right? So for me, one of the things that I do is my students know best what they're going to be working on. They know best what they're going to be applying for, and they then end up, sometimes they add things at the last minute. So you can share an Excel spreadsheet, you can share things on Google Sheets, right? And then have them put in the information, right? What is the place they're applying to? When is the deadline? What is the name of the department? What is the thing that they're applying for, right? They put all of that information in the spreadsheet, and then I can use some of that information to help me write my recommendation letters, but I'm not using that information manually, right? I'm not looking at it and then saying, oh, the student said this, I need to go ahead and put that in my recommendation letter. I am automating all of that into my mail merge process so that my mail merge document draws directly from the template that the students have sent, and all of that information ends up being automatically rendered in the Word document once I go ahead and complete the mail merge process. Number 3, frequently asked questions in your email, right? So you say that you're a professor like I am, or you're a graduate student and you're TAing a class, or you're some kind of other knowledge worker and you have people that are regularly emailing you, asking you questions. And they're the same kinds of questions, right? So for example, my students might be asking, can I have an extension for something, right? You could send the same exact email that you're typing over and over again, or you could just create a template for that provides them with the answers, right? So sometimes it might be a series of links, right? That they don't know how to do something. And so I can have a series of links for them that says, you should check out this, this, and this. Sometimes it can be a matter of them feeling confused about something. So I've already typed out a longer thing, and instead of just sending that to one person when they email about it, I can then make sure that I just have it as a template I use Superhuman as my email client, and so that I just have a snippet that I just can automatically go to. It literally takes me 1 second to pull up that snippet, put it in the email, tailor it as I need to if it requires any tailoring, and then go ahead and send it off, right? And so the idea is, when you are getting these emails, look for patterns, right? I am a pattern seeker, right? Probably part of why I'm a professor and I love doing research, right? I look for patterns. Automation is a mindset. And so when you see things that keep coming in and you keep typing the same things, that should be a signal to you. This is something that I should be automating. If automation sounds kind of weird for you, or you can't wrap your head around it, think of it as a template, right? If you keep getting the same information over and over again, or you're giving the same information over and over again, then that is a sign that you should be creating a template for that so that it speeds up the process of responding. Number 4, automating to-do lists, right? I love Asana. Anybody who knows me in my personal life, I have no affiliation with Asana whatsoever. Anybody who knows me though knows that I've been using Asana for 10 years probably. It is a lifesaver for me. And in addition to just being able to have a place where I can store all my to-do lists and manage my projects, I love Asana because I'm an inbox zero person. And when I get emails that are actually tasks, right, some people will just mark those things as unread and then return to them when they're ready to do them, right? For me, my inbox is not for storing things. My inbox is for processing and responding. And so when I get an email that is about a task, I have, as I mentioned, a snippet, right, a template, right? I just hit a button that pulls up my Asana email address, and then I send that task right into Asana, right? So I'll just kind of title it, what the task is, if there are any attachments there, right? Those attachments will go ahead into Asana. And then when I log into my Asana account, now I have things that were in my email, but now they're in my task management software program. And all I have to do is go ahead and set the deadline. I prefer to do it this way, right? So I don't have things that are out of sight, out of mind, right? Eventually, when I'm ready to do my task management, I will sit down at my Asana dashboard and then go ahead and figure out when is the deadline for this? When am I gonna find room in my schedule to do it, right? But the key is I'm doing my email, I'm trying to get through it. If there's something that requires more than a couple minutes, that's a task to do later. And so I'll go ahead and send that to Asana and process my emails very quickly. If I were doing this manually, it would mean that a person would send me an email, then I have to go open my Asana, then I have to put the to-do list item in my Asana, then I have to attach the documents that they have sent me, then I am now distracted by all of the other things that are in my task manager that are kind of reminding me, hey, you need to get this done, right? Not only is it manual, not only does it have so many steps that eat up my time, it's also very distracting, okay? When I'm in my inbox, I'm not necessarily trying to perform the tasks that are required of the emails that I'm receiving. Lastly, reminders, okay? So reminders are probably my absolutely favorite thing to automate. And I'm not talking about reminders for meetings necessarily that people have scheduled with me, right? Reminders can be things like if you are part of a group, if you are on a committee, if you are in charge of some set of events that have regular announcements that have to go out. Those are wonderful things to automate. And with email technology these days, you can automate it weeks in advance, right? So when I have to do these kinds of things, I have templates for the reminder that needs to go out, and then I don't have to worry about it. So if there was going to be a weekly reminder for 10 weeks, I would not be logging into my email sending out reminders once a week every week. And I'd schedule those 10 emails to go out over the course of that time without me having to do it. So that's it. Those are the 5 things that I think that we can be automating today, right? The goal is to move us from being these overwhelmed folks that don't feel like we have enough time in our day to do things to feeling like folks that have our ish together and can make sure that we're feeling like we can live a more balanced life instead of being overwhelmed with busy work all the time. So I hope that you found it helpful. Let me know what other things you automate, or if you have questions about how to automate something, right? Let me know that in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.